Hello everyone, it's Yasmine aka Lumpchi, and I am back with a new tutorial for you. I just wanted to say a huge thank you for all of your amazing feedback on my first tutorial. Every word has meant so much to me and I've been so impressed with your results. Thank you for sharing them with me and I look forward to seeing more of them. If you haven't yet seen my first tutorial, please do check it out. Today we are going to be making this cute and colourful potted cactus. I'm going to walk you through the entire process. If you're new to the world of 3D and Blender and you want to become a 3D illustrator, do check out the Polygon Runway courses. They are carefully designed to teach you beginner and intermediate skills in the quickest and most effective way. With a new Ultimate 3D bundle, you can go from simple cubic design all the way to full character illustration in a matter of weeks. So if you're interested, please go check it out on polygonrunway.com, and if you use the link in the description, you will support me directly as well. Before we start the modelling process, there are a couple of things I'd like you to check in your preferences for me. If you go to Edit, go to Preferences, under Addons you're going to make sure that Mesh Extra Objects is enabled, and then you're going to go to Input, Emulate 3-button mouse, turn that on. That allows you to select an entire loop when you double click a vertex, edge or face. Then you're going to go into Navigation, and you're going to ensure that Orbit Around selection is also ticked. We are going to begin by making the pot. The first thing you need to do is delete the poor old cube by pressing X on your keyboard and pressing delete. Then you're going to press Shift A, Mesh, and Circle. Open up the menu here, and then you're going to change the number of vertices from 32 to 12. Press Enter. Now you need to make the circle 8 by 8. Easiest way to do it is to press S4 on your keyboard, and then just simply press Enter. Now press Tab to enter edit mode, and with all these vertices selected here, you're going to press F to fill. Next step is to extrude the pot upwards by pressing E4, then you simply press enter. And with these top vertices selected, you're going to press X, delete the faces, and you're going to double click here on this edge loop to select all again. Head into the side view, and you're going to scale it up to about here, like so. Next, we're going to create some edge loops, so you're going to press Ctrl R on your keyboard, and you're going to place one just about here, like just slightly lower. Then you're going to create another edge loop down here towards the bottom, and you're going to scale it in to about there, like that. Then you're going to create one more edge loop here, and it will stay at the center, and you're just going to scale it up, just like this. So in order to give the pot a bit more detail, we will need to add some thickness. So let's go to the modifier tab, and we're going to add a solidify modifier. Let's set this value here to 0.16. Press enter, and you're going to head out of edit mode by pressing tab into object mode, and you're going to apply the modifier from this little drop down here. Now you can see it's created some geometry up here. So if we head back into edit mode with tab, and what we're going to do is go to face select, and then you're going to double click here to select the entire loop, and you're going to press Alt E, extrude faces along normals, and you're going to bring it up to about here, like so. To finish, we're going to flatten this area up here. So with face select still on, we are going to double click here to select this loop, and holding shift on our keyboard, we're going to double click here, and we're going to press SZ0. Press enter. Now if you look at the side view, you can see that it's been flattened. Perfect, so with the pot modelled, we are now going to make the soil. So let's rotate the view very slightly and go into edge select. After that, you're going to double click to select this entire loop here, and you're going to press Shift D to duplicate it, right click to put it back into place, press P, and separate by selection. After that, you're going to head out of edit mode, you're going to select the object you just made, head back into edit mode, press A to select all, and then you're going to press F to fill. Finally, press tab to head out of edit mode, you're going to grab the object with G, press Z, and just bring it down slightly like so. Great, so we are now ready to model the cactus. So first things first, let's right click our soil in object mode, and we are going to reassign the origin. So we're going to select origin to geometry, and after that we're going to press Shift S, and we're going to do cursor to selected. After this, I would like you to press Shift A, you're going to go to mesh, and you're going to go down in this little drop down here to extras, and you're going to insert a simple star. Then in the options for the star, you're going to change the number of points to 4. Head into edit mode with this star, and you're going to select these edges like so, just at the corners like this. Rotate and select them, and you're going to go into the top down view, and you're going to press Ctrl B on your keyboard to bevel. Bring them in slightly, and you're going to roll your mouse wheel up twice to bevel it like this. So just drag it down slightly like so, and click. Before we further manipulate the object, let's size it up a bit. So I'm just going to zoom out the view a little bit, and let's go back into object mode, and we're going to scale it up only on the Z axis, so you're going to press S and Shift Z. After this, you're going to bring it up just to about, let's say, here. The next thing I would like you to do is head back into edit mode, and with face select on, you're going to select all of the top faces like so. Let's head into the side view. Next, we are just going to bring the faces up slightly, so let's press G, Z, and bring them up to about, let's say there. Then you're going to scale them up, like so, to about here like that. And then you're going to extrude them about 2 squares up, and you're going to scale it, let's say to about like this. Then you're going to extrude again, but this time you're going to just go up in a straight line for this one. Extrude, 2 squares up, and scale this one in. Let's say to about there. Then you're going to extrude one more time, and you're going to scale in a bit more to round it off. The cactus is almost ready, we just need to reshape some parts. So let's go to edge select, let's select this edge here, and we're going to hold Control, and we're going to click this bottom edge here. We're going to do the same all around, like so. And we are just going to scale them in by pressing S, just a bit like that. Next, I would like you to select these faces up the top here, just at the corners of the star shape that you beveled. And you're just going to press G, Z, and you're going to bring them up just like that. Finally, let's go to vertex select, and we're going to select these vertices here, just around the crease areas of the star. And we're going to bring them down, so just press G, Z, and just bring them down a little bit, like that. And our cactus is now complete. I often like to work in the camera view, so I've just set up my camera. Feel free to copy my settings. Well done so far, we have almost completed our modelling. There is just one more thing that we're going to make, and that is going to be the flowers. I would like you to select the cactus and head into edit mode. With vertex select on, you're going to select this vertex here, and you're going to press Shift S, cursor to selected. Now let's exit edit mode, and we're going to press Shift A, and we're going to add a plane. Go into the top down view, and press slash to enter the local view. Next, I would like you to scale the object down on the X axis to like this, about there. Then you're going to head into edit mode for this plane, and you're going to press Ctrl R to insert some edge loops, and you're going to insert 4 of them like this, so there should be 5 segments. Click, vertex select on, select these top vertices here, scale them in, scale this in like this as well. And you can follow along as I create this petal shape. So in order to create a flower shape using these petals, we're going to be using a bit of rotation. So the first thing that I would like us to do is to actually reassign the origin, and we're going to simply do that by selecting the entire petal with A, and we're going to press G and Y to move it along the Y axis. And we're going to make it so the origin, which is the orange dot where the 3D cursor is going to be somewhere about here, away from the petal, like this. This means that when we duplicate and rotate the petal, they'll rotate around the origin. This is my preferred way of making flowers. You can of course make them however you like, however this way you'll get really nice shape with it. So let's start by tabbing out into object mode, and we're going to go into the wireframe view. So you're going to press Shift Z in order to do that. Then you're going to duplicate this petal by pressing Shift D, and you're not going to move it anywhere else, you're just going to leave it in its place by right clicking, and you're going to rotate it. And you can see it is rotating around the origin, which is exactly what we wanted. And click to place it. Then we're going to continue the process of rotating our duplicated petals. It's going to be like that, and again, and we're going to create 5 petals for this flower. Just like that. Now, my goal when rotating here was to have it so that the second edge loop was just close to the second edge loop of the other petals. So now with our petal ready, we're going to join all of these petals together. So you're going to shift click them, and you're going to press Ctrl J, and they'll all now become one object. Now let's head into edit mode, and we're going to be merging these vertices here along the edge of the petals. With vertex select on, let's select these 2 here, press M, and merge at center. And we are going to continue doing this all around the petals. Select them as you go along and merge them at center. Let us now exit wireframe mode by pressing Shift Z again, and we're going to fill this center point here. So let's go to Edge Select, and we will select all of these edges here, and we're going to press F to fill. So now let us finish off the flower. As you can see, it's looking a bit flat, so we need to give it a bit more volume. So we're going to go to Face Select, select these center faces here on each petal, and we're just going to bring them up on the Z axis by pressing G and Z. Just bring them up like this. Then we're going to select the center face and we're going to bring it down like this. Then finally, we're going to select these edges just at the tips of each petal and we're going to press GZ and bring them down like this. So you've got a bit more of a rounded shape to the flower. Great stuff. So in our final step for the modeling, we are just going to press slash to exit the local view, and we're also going to exit edit mode. Then what I would like you to do is to just bring the flower up slightly on the Z axis and just scale it up a bit like this. And then you're just going to press Shift D to duplicate it and press Z just to bring it up like that. I know it looks a bit funny like this. We're just going to keep them there for now, just so it's a bit easier when we texture them. In order for us to be able to hand paint our objects, we must first create seams on them and then UV unwrap them. The only two that we will need to seam are going to be the pot and the cactus. So it's going to be super easy. It's not going to take long at all. It's mostly just going to involve double clicking and turning those loops into seams. To begin, let's open a new window in the 3D viewport and let's change the editor type to UV editor. UVs are essentially a means to wrap a 3D object with a 2D texture. They appear as 2D representations of the object's geometry once it has been unwrapped. This can most easily be understood by looking at a cube and its net. So if you have your cube, and I'm going to draw it in 3D for you, and you have its net, which is going to look something like this. The seams are essentially where the edges separate to form the net. Now let's begin with the pot, so click on it and head into the local view. Then we're going to go into edit mode and we're going to turn wireframe view on again by pressing Shift Z. And then we're going to double click here to select this loop. So I'm going to show you a little trick. If you hold Shift on your keyboard and you click on Face Select, you can see that they're both highlighted. This is really useful for making multiple types of selections on a mesh. To get the best UV unwrap for this pot, we need to make sure that this area here unwraps flatly and that it is separated from the base. So what we're going to do is we are just going to select the face here, and we are also going to select the other face. You can sort of see the little black dot there, so that we have both bases selected. And you can see it easier if I rotate it a bit. And all we have to do to make the seam is press U on our keyboard and press Mark Seam. There is just one more seam I want to create on the pot, so we're going to go to Edge Select and we're just going to double click this loop here to create a loop around the lip. Then we're going to press U and mark that as well. The pot is all done now, so now we can move on to the cactus. So let's click on the cactus and head into edit mode. Go into the local view to see it a bit easier, and with Edge Select on, all we're going to do is double click here, rotate your view, hold Shift on your keyboard and double click here, just to make sure it has gone all the way around. After this you're going to press U, Mark Seam, and that's it. Now we are ready to unwrap our objects, so let's tab out and go to object mode. Then we're going to select all of our objects holding Shift. Now this next part is very important. Without doing it, the UVs are going to look quite strange. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to press Ctrl A and we're going to apply the scale. And now we are ready to unwrap them. So let's head into edit mode and we're going to make sure all of them are selected by pressing A. Then you're going to press U and you're going to choose unwrap. And if you did this correctly, your UV editor should look something like this. Now, I highly recommend doing a bit of UV editing, only because it makes things easier when you're painting and it helps you have more control over the resolution of your texture. So some of the controls of the UV editor are as follows. Here you have island selection, which means that when you click on a UV, you can select the entire UV and manipulate it. Then you also have face selection, you have the edge selection and vertex, just like you're working with a mesh. Using the same controls as with an object, you may grab, rotate, and scale your UVs. So let's begin manipulating our UVs. I'm going to begin with the pot. I know that this UV corresponds to the outer shell of the pot, simply because I've already made the model, and also because it has unwrapped flatly just in the way that we had seamed it to. However, if you ever want to check which part of the mesh a face, vertex or edge on the UV corresponds to, you can do that by using UV sync selection, which is this button up here. Now if you change the face select here, and you click and drag, you'll be able to see which part of the mesh it corresponds to. So let's start working on our UVs. I'm going to turn off UV sync selection, and if your UV editor goes blank like this, all you have to do is press A to select the whole mesh again. Feel free to follow along with what I'm doing. So I'm just grabbing this piece, just going to be rotating it, bringing it up to this corner, and then I'm going to grab the other piece, which is the inside of the pot. Now, the bigger a UV is, the more resolution it has. So for objects that we're not really going to see very well, I'm going to make them quite small so that they can still fit into the UV editor, but don't take up too much space. Now I want to check what these three UVs are, so I'm going to turn on UV sync selection, and I'm going to select this one here. Now I can see that this area has been highlighted, therefore this is the soil, and these are going to be the two bases of the pot. The soil is going to have a little bit of detail, so I'm just going to bring it off to the side here, and because our bases are not really going to be seen, we can make them quite small. So I'm just going to put them beside each other, scale them very small like this, and bring them up. Now I can turn off UV sync selection, and I'm going to press A to select them all again. Now let's bring our flowers down, just to the center of the UV editor, and we're just going to rotate them a bit. Just rearrange them. You can make them bigger as well, just to give a bit more resolution. Just keep rearranging them onto the UV so that they fit nicely. We can make them a bit bigger. I'm just going to do a quick check on these UVs here. So I'm going to turn UV sync selection on, and I'm just going to do a click and drag to see what this piece is. Right, so I can already see that this corresponds to the back of the cactus, which is not facing us, and this one will be the front. And if I just do a couple of clicks over here, right, so the top of the cactus piece is here. So I'm just going to rotate them just to make the UV layout a bit easier for us to work with. Well done, so we have now actually finished our UV editing and can move on to the painting portion. If you have any questions, please do pop them down below and I'll get back to you. Before we continue, there is one very important thing that we need to do, and that is to create the actual texture. So I would like you to click on Image, New, and you're going to name it Potted Cactus. And you're going to give it a resolution of 2048 by 2048. Which is more than adequate for what we're making. Press OK. Now you can see the texture has been created. Now this part is absolutely crucial. This is tripped up myself and many others. You must save the texture, as Blender does not do this for you when you create it. So go to Image, you're going to click on Save As, you're going to navigate to your texture folder, keep the name as it is, you're going to turn the compression down to 0%, and you're going to save as image. Now let us exit edit mode, select the pot, and the next step is that we are going to create the material that's going to hold this texture that we just created. So let's go to the material tab, you're going to click new, and you can just call it Potted Cactus, change the surface to emission, and you're going to click this yellow dot here, and you're going to change it to image texture. Click this icon here to plug in the texture that you have just created. Then you're going to change linear to closest, and this is going to ensure that the texture is shown in the highest possible quality. Now to see that material actually assigned, you need to go into the material preview by clicking on this icon here. Now we are finally ready to enter texture paint mode. To the left are all of your tools, and in order to edit the settings of these tools, you need to press N on your keyboard and you need to click on Tool, and here are all of your settings. To switch between your foreground and background colors, simply press X on your keyboard. Let us now color our pot. Click on the Fill tool, click on the color white, and in the hex section, I'm going to give you the code FFFA78. Press enter and simply click to fill. Can you see how dull the color is here in comparison to the UV map? In order to fix this, let's go to Object Mode. We're going to go into our render settings, go all the way to the bottom to color management, and we're going to change the look, and we're going to change the view transform from filmic to standard. And you can see there is already an improvement there. To make the colors on the texture pop even more, I like to give them a little bit of contrast, so I'm just going to change the look from none to medium-high contrast. Let's head back into texture paint mode, and please be sure to always save your texture as you go along. It is also very useful to save the colors you use, and the way you can do that is by opening Color Palette, clicking New, and simply pressing the plus icon like so. Let's make the pot look a little bit more interesting by adding some detail. We are going to be using the gradient fill for this part, so let's scroll down, click on gradient, you're going to click on the color here, and I'm going to give you a new hex code, which is FFA F76. Press enter. You're going to click the other side of the gradient, click the color black, and turn the alpha all the way down. Now you're going to click from the top of this square here like so, and drag it to about 2 squares down from the pot. Your result should look something like this. I would like you to add this new color to your color palette, so first of all please click this arm of the gradient, you're going to press plus on your color palette, and you're just going to drag the color directly from here to the second color you've just added. For this next part we are going to be using the brush, so please turn on the brush tool, select the color you have just made, scroll down, on the stroke you're going to change it from space to line, and then you're going to scroll down to options, and you're going to untick occlude and untick backface culling. And this is a trick that I just recently learned, which was actually by accident. But what it does is it means that when you draw on your mesh, it will appear on the other side as well. So it's really useful for making things such as stripes. Lastly, we need to open up fall off, and we need to make the fall off the sharpest. And this ensures that when you draw, your edges are going to be nice and crisp. Now let's decrease the size of our brush by pressing the left square bracket on our keyboard. Press it multiple times and make it about this size. Now you're going to draw across the pot, so just click and drag, keep it straight as you can, and release. And now when you rotate the pot, you can see that the line has indeed gone all the way around. Great work, so we have now finished the colouring on our pot. We can now move on to the cactus. So let's exit texture paint mode, select the cactus, and we are now going to assign the material that contains the texture onto it. So just go to the material tab, and you're going to click this icon here and select potted cactus. After that, head into texture paint mode. Click on the fill tool, and I'm going to give you a new hex. We need to go back into color, press X to switch to black. You're going to click on black, and for the hex you're going to type in 79E285. Press enter and click to fill. Be sure to add it to your color palette, and I'm going to give you another hex to put in, and that is going to be 53C893. Press enter. This darker green is going to be used to fill in the alternating sections of the cactus, and you'll see what I mean now. Be sure to also add this color to your palette. Now let's head into our camera view by pressing 0 on our keyboard. In order for us to fill only one part of the mesh, this can be done by masking. To begin masking, let's turn Paint Mask on, which is this icon here. And in order to select the parts of the mesh, you need to turn Select Box on. Let's begin by selecting the faces of this section. So you're just going to click and select this whole big section here, like so. Keep going, holding Shift on your keyboard. You're going to do the same on the bottom as well. And then you're going to do the opposite section. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a quicker way of doing this. You can't hold Control and select a line, unfortunately. Not that I know of anyway. But just continue clicking through. Don't forget the bottom of the cactus as well. Right, so you see how I've selected it. Now you can go back to your fill tool. And with this new dark green color, you're going to click to fill. Turn off paint mask mode as we don't need it again for now. Your cactus should look something like this. Now our cactus is looking a bit flat, so let's give it a bit more dimension by adding a very slight gradient. So select gradient, select the right arm on the gradient, and you're going to choose the dark green color. For the left arm, we're going to choose the yellow color, but we must first click on yellow and add the alpha back. So just drag it up like this to bring it back. And now we're going to go into the side view. Next, I would like you to grab the right arm of the gradient and you're going to drag it to about here, like this. And then we need to turn the strength down as we don't want it to cover what we've already done. We just want it to be a very light gradient. So we're going to type in 0.5 like this. Now starting from about 2 squares up from the cactus, you're going to click and drag to about 1 square below it, just to about here, and release. And there you have it. Next we are going to draw the spines onto our cactus by hand, and they are going to be in a cartoony sort of style. Select the brush tool, scroll down, and change the color to the dark green color. Then we're going to turn pen pressure on for radius. I definitely recommend using a graphics tablet when you're texturing, especially if you're working with a hand-painted style. Turn off pen pressure for strength, and let's scroll down to options. We're going to turn backface culling back on, as well as occlude. For this section, we are going to be using symmetry options. This will make it so much easier so that whatever we draw here will appear on all the other sides too. Open the symmetry tab and turn the mirror on for X and Y. I'm also going to change the brush stroke from line back to space. Next, I'm going to give you a new hex code that we're going to be using for this, and that is going to be 43BC99. Add it to your color palette. Now we are going to draw 3 crosses just along this section here of the cactus. I'm just going to increase the brush size just a bit and just begin drawing. Just keep redoing it until you're happy with it. And rotate the view as you go along. Just going to increase the brush size a bit more here. And just one more at the bottom here. And now our cactus is finished and looking very cute. Okay, so let's do the soil. So go back to object mode, select the soil, and let's go into texture paint. We need to assign the material as well, so click on the icon here and click potted cactus. Now I'm going to give you the hex for the soil, so press X to switch to black. And the hex code is going to be C2855A. Press enter. Add it to your color palette. Go to your fill tool, click on color, and click on the color you just added. Increase the strength back to 1 and click to fill. Brilliant work. So the final thing we are going to be painting are the flowers. So let's go back to object mode, select the top flower, head back into texture paint mode and assign the material. Then let's go into local view and let's go down to the top down view. And let's go to the top down view. We're going to be using a very soft fill from the center of the flower to the outer edge. So let's go to gradient and we are going to change the gradient fill from linear to radial. Click on the left arm of the gradient and I'm going to give you the hex code for this, which will be FF8176. Press enter. On the right side, we are simply going to change this to white. So a quick way to do that is to go to HSV and you're going to turn all of these down and you're going to turn this one up. Drag this arm all the way to the right and let's zoom out a little bit so we can see better. And then we're going to click and drag from the center of the flower to about here, about 2 squares away from the petal. I like to add a bit more detail to define the edges of the petals. So let's go to brush, let's turn the strength down to 0.3. We're going to change the blend mode from mix to screen. And we're going to change the color to white. So let's go to HSV, turn down the hue, turn down saturation, turn it up on the bottom here. I'm just going to start drawing around the edges with a little brush, giving a slight flick at the end. And there we are, that's looking a bit more defined. So this flower is all done. For the second flower, I'm going to repeat the process, except I'm going to make a larger gradient fill, and thus the second flower will be a bit darker than this one. So let's exit texture paint mode, exit the local view, select the other flower, enter the local view, enter texture paint mode, head into the top down view, and we're going to assign the material. Now let's go to fill. And let's click from the center and drag to about 5 squares away. And let's draw around the edges. Great work, so the texturing for this model is all done. You can continue to add more detail if you like. To finish this tutorial, I will show you how to make a dynamic toon outline for your model. Before we create the outline, click on the pot, cactus and the 2 flowers, press Ctrl A on your keyboard and click Apply Scale. Next, let's click on the cactus, create a new material and call it Outline. Change the surface to Emission. Click on Color. And the hex code for this outline is going to be 38B791. You're going to scroll down and you're going to ensure that backface culling is ticked. Then you're going to open the Modifiers tab and you're going to add a Solidify modifier. Change the thickness to -0.11 and you're going to open the Normals tab, click Flip, and under Materials you're going to change the material offset to 1. Your outline should look something like this. For the pot, we are going to use the same material but with a different color. So click on the pot, go to the Material tab, add a new material. But from this drop down, you're going to select the original outline and you're going to click this icon here to simply copy the settings. Now we can change the color without changing the other one, and that's going to be DA8C56. Now, because the pot is going to be using the same settings for the modifier as the cactus, there's a very simple way to copy them. So shift click the cactus, press Ctrl L on your keyboard and link the modifiers together. With the flowers, as they are a flat object, we need to give them some thickness first. So click on the flower, go to the Modifier tab, add the Solidify modifier, and you're going to give it a thickness of 0.1. Now you can add a Solidify modifier again, and this is going to be for the outline. And you're going to give it a thickness of 0.11 as well. Go to Normals, flip them, and in Materials, you're going to go to 1 for material offset. Under the material settings, you're going to add a material, but this time you're going to click on the second outline that you made. You're going to copy it again. I'm going to give you the color for this one, and that's going to be FF9EA0. Click on the other flower and click on the flower that you just modified. Press Ctrl L on your keyboard to link the modifiers, and press Ctrl L on your keyboard again and link the materials. We have now reached the end of this tutorial. If you enjoyed the video, please do give us a thumbs up and let us know down below if you have any questions or thoughts. I hope you will give this little cactus a try and I would love to see your results. If you do, please tag me at Lumpchi so I can have a look. Thank you so much for watching and until next time, bye!